What is up, YouTube? How y'all doing? Yeah. The richest mob bosses. Look at this picture, man. God dang, cousin. Hey, the only mob boss is richer than Elon Musk. What? Teen, son. Can you imagine? That's everybody's dream, y'all, to have as much money take the second dream. Imagine having all the money in the world to do anything you want. Or better yet, imagine having enough money to do whatever you want to do in life. You making ends meet, but at least you're doing what you like to do. Does that make sense? Like if you like to sew and, or if you like farming, growing stuff and farming. If you love farming and you making money doing what you love, that's excellent. I like making music and videos, and I'm making enough money to support my living, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Uncle Mike gonna bring you this joint, man. Let's check this bad boy out.
These are the richest mob bosses in the world. Criminals who didn't just break the law, they bought it. Their bank accounts held billions, but their crimes left cities bleeding. This video exposes how blood money turned into private islands, gold mansions, and empires that rivaled governments. 9. Anthony Fat Tony Salerno, $600 million. Anthony Fat Tony Salerno ruled the streets of New York City as the powerful boss of the Genovese crime family during the 1970s and 1980s. With his trademark cigars and rough appearance, Fat Tony built an incredible fortune, estimated at $600 million through his criminal empire. Born in East Harlem, Salerno climbed the ranks of organized crime through brutal determination. His main moneymakers included illegal gambling operations that spread throughout Manhattan and the Bronx. These betting rings brought in millions each month as people wagered on everything from horse races to sports games. His loan sharking business was equally profitable, with desperate borrowers paying sky-high interest rates and facing dangerous consequences if they couldn't repay. Fat Tony's massive wealth allowed him to live like royalty. His main residence was a stunning mansion in Miami Beach, complete with marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and priceless artwork. The property featured a massive swimming pool surrounded by palm trees and a private dock where his 90-foot yacht remained ready for impromptu trips to the Bahamas. Back in New York, Salerno owned a fortified compound in upstate New York, where he hosted legendary parties for fellow mobsters and corrupt officials. These gatherings featured the finest Italian food prepared by personal chefs, endless champagne, and entertainment from famous singers who didn't ask questions about their generous host. Fat Tony's car collection impressed even the wealthiest legitimate businessmen. His garage housed several Cadillacs, a rare Ferrari, and a bulletproof Lincoln Continental with custom leather seats. Each vehicle came equipped with hidden compartments for transporting cash or weapons. Despite his rough criminal background, Salerno developed expensive tastes. He wore hand-tailored suits from Italy, solid gold watches, and diamond rings on his fingers. His cigars were specially imported from Cuba at great expense, and he drank only the finest aged whiskey. Law enforcement finally caught up with Fat Tony in 1986 when he was convicted in the famous Commission trial that targeted the leadership of New York's 5 major crime families. He spent his final years in prison, far from the luxurious lifestyle his criminal fortune had provided. Salerno died behind bars in 1992, but his reputation as one of the richest and most powerful mob bosses in American history remains legendary in the criminal underworld. Fat Tony made New York streets rain cash, but across the ocean, another boss was stuffing suitcases with dirty money and setting fire to Europe's underworld. Zaza, $700 million. Michele Zaza rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most powerful figures in the Italian Camorra crime organization. Born in Naples, Italy, Zaza built his criminal empire primarily through cigarette smuggling operations in the 1970s and 1980s. His network stretched across the Mediterranean, moving millions of contraband cigarettes from North Africa into European markets. The Italian crime boss didn't stop at cigarettes. As his power grew, Zaza expanded into drug trafficking, particularly heroin and cocaine. These ventures multiplied his wealth exponentially, eventually amassing a fortune estimated at $700 million. Zaza lived a life of extreme luxury that matched his enormous wealth. His collection of assets included 3 massive yachts, each over 100 feet long. The largest, named La Dolce Vita, cost more than $15 million and featured gold-plated fixtures throughout its cabins. On land, Zaza owned impressive real estate across Europe. His main residence in Naples sprawled across 20,000 square feet, with marble floors imported from rare quarries. He also maintained luxury villas on the Amalfi Coast, a penthouse in Milan, and a chateau in the French Riviera worth approximately $30 million. The crime boss spent lavishly on memberships to exclusive clubs. He belonged to the most prestigious golf clubs in Italy and France, despite rarely playing the sport. These memberships served mainly as meeting places to conduct business with other wealthy and powerful people. Zaza's spending habits were legendary among criminal circles. He reportedly dropped $500,000 in a single weekend at Monte Carlo casinos. His wardrobe contained hundreds of custom-made suits, each costing upwards of $5,000. The mobster never wore the same outfit twice to important meetings. Security for his empire didn't come cheap either.
Wow.
Zaza spent millions annually on bribes to officials and maintaining a small army of bodyguards. His protection detail included former special forces soldiers who received salaries far exceeding what legitimate security work would pay. Despite his enormous wealth and power, Zaza's criminal activities eventually caught up with him. Italian authorities, working with international police agencies, targeted his operations throughout the 1980s. The crime boss faced multiple arrests and legal challenges before his empire ultimately crumbled. Zaza lived like royalty off black market millions, but the next name did not just chase money. She spilled blood and flooded cities with cocaine until even the cops were too scared to say her name. 7. Griselda Blanco, $2 billion.
Damn.
In the dangerous world of drug trafficking, few names struck as much fear as Griselda Blanco. Known as the cocaine godmother, this fierce woman ruled Miami's drug scene during the 1970s and 1980s with an iron fist. Born in Colombia, Blanco moved to the United States and built a massive drug empire that earned her a staggering $2 billion fortune. Miami became Blanco's playground as she controlled the cocaine trade with ruthless efficiency. Her organization moved over 300 kilograms of cocaine every month, flooding the streets with drugs, while her bank accounts swelled with cash. Unlike other crime bosses who kept low profiles, Blanco flaunted her incredible wealth for all to see. Cocaine godmother lived in several luxury mansions throughout Miami, each one more extravagant than the last. Her main estate featured marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and gold-plated bathroom fixtures. The swimming pools at her properties were designed in special shapes, including one famously built to resemble Colombia, her homeland. Blanco's jewelry collection was legendary. She owned diamond necklaces worth millions, emerald rings the size of small pebbles, and a special bracelet made from pure platinum with her nickname engraved in diamonds.
That's crazy.
Her most prized possession was reportedly a diamond-encrusted pistol that she kept with her at all times. Cars lined the driveways of her properties, Rolls-Royces, Bentleys, and custom Cadillacs with bulletproof glass and hidden compartments. Each vehicle was painted in bright colors and featured personalized license plates. Blanco rarely drove herself, preferring to be chauffeured around Miami in these luxury vehicles. The drug queen's spending habits were beyond excessive. She once threw a birthday party for her son that cost over $1 million, flying in performers from around the world.
Damn.
Blanco purchased a private island in the Bahamas just for weekend getaways and owned a fleet of speedboats for quick escapes if needed. Her closets overflowed with designer clothes that often still had price tags attached. Many items worn only once before being discarded. Blanco employed personal shoppers who would close down entire high-end stores just so she could browse in private. Despite all this wealth and power, Blanco's empire eventually crumbled. After years of violence and drug trafficking, law enforcement finally caught up with the cocaine godmother. The cocaine godmother crushed Miami under her heels, but the next man built tunnels, bought cities, and moved mountains of drugs without blinking. 6. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, $1 billion. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman ruled the Sinaloa cartel with an iron fist, building a drug empire worth a staggering $1 billion. Standing at just 5 feet 6 inches tall, his nickname, El Chapo, meaning shorty, didn't stop him from becoming one of the most feared and wealthy crime bosses in history. El Chapo's business spread across the globe like a spider web. The Sinaloa cartel moved massive amounts of drugs, cocaine, heroin, marijuana, and meth from South America into the United States. At the height of his power, El Chapo's organization controlled drug trafficking in nearly half of Mexico. Life as a billionaire drug lord came with incredible luxury. El Chapo owned a collection of private jets for quick travel between his many hideouts. His real estate portfolio included beach houses, mountain retreats, and urban mansions spread throughout Mexico. Each property featured bulletproof windows, escape tunnels, and the latest security systems money could buy. The drug kingpin's car collection would make anyone's jaw drop. Armored SUVs, custom sports cars, and vintage classics filled his garages. One of his favorites was reportedly a diamond-encrusted handgun that showed off his extravagant taste. El Chapo spared no expense on personal items either. His wardrobe contained designer clothes, rare watches, and custom-made shoes. The crime boss traveled with an entourage of bodyguards and often threw lavish parties where guests enjoyed the finest foods and drinks. Money flowed like water through the cartel's operations. Millions went toward bribing government.
Hold up, man. How the hell Jay-Z get up in this video, man? Wait a minute. Hold up.
Chapo spared no expense on personal items either.
What's
His
this?
wardrobe contained designer clothes, rare watches, and custom-made shoes. The crime boss traveled with an entourage of bodyguards and often threw lavish parties where guests enjoyed the finest foods and drinks. Money flowed like water through the cartel's operations. Millions went toward bribing government officials, police officers, and prison guards. These payoffs helped El Chapo escape from maximum security prisons twice, once in a laundry cart and later through an elaborate tunnel system that cost millions to construct. Despite all his wealth, El Chapo's empire eventually crumbled. After his final capture in 2016, he was extradited to the United States and sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. The Mexican government seized many of his assets, though rumors persist that billions remain hidden away. El Chapo broke out of prison like it was nothing, but the next boss did not need to run. He sat back in gold-trimmed mansions while the stock market fattened his pockets. 5. Susumu Ishi, $1 billion. In the shadowy world of organized crime, Susumu Ishi stood out as a different kind of mob boss. As the head of Japan's Inagawa-kai Yakuza group during the 1980s, Ishi transformed the traditional criminal organization into something that looked more like a business empire. Unlike other crime bosses who stuck to old-school illegal activities, Ishi had bigger plans. He took advantage of Japan's booming economy in the 1980s, known as the bubble economy, and dove headfirst into legitimate investments. The Yakuza leader poured money into the stock market and bought up valuable real estate across Japan when property prices were skyrocketing. Ishi's wealth allowed him to live in incredible luxury. He owned several mansions in Tokyo's most expensive neighborhoods, where a single property could cost more than most people earn in a lifetime. His main home featured traditional Japanese gardens, rare artwork, and rooms designed specifically for conducting tea ceremonies, blending ancient traditions with his enormous wealth. The Yakuza boss didn't stop at Japanese borders. He purchased vacation homes in Hawaii and California, along with a collection of private islands in the Pacific, where he entertained business partners and political connections. His real estate holdings alone were estimated to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Ishi's investment portfolio included major stakes in some of Japan's biggest companies. He owned shares in banks, manufacturing firms, and entertainment businesses. The mob boss even invested heavily in golf courses during a time when golf club memberships in Japan could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. His collection of luxury items was equally impressive. Ishi maintained a fleet of custom-made limousines, rare sports cars, and even a private jet for international travel. His wardrobe consisted of hand-tailored suits from the finest shops in Tokyo and London. What made Ishi unique among crime bosses was his ability to move between two worlds. He maintained the traditional Yakuza power structure based on loyalty and intimidation, while simultaneously building relationships with legitimate business leaders and politicians. This dual approach helped his fortune grow to an estimated $1 billion. Ishi turned crime into business and business into gold, but the next name turned speakeasies into cash factories and ruled Chicago like it was his backyard. 4. Al Capone, $1.3 billion, adjusted. The streets of Chicago transformed during the 1920s Prohibition era, and one man stood at the center of this change: Alphonse Gabriel Capone. Known simply as Al Capone or Scarface, this notorious gangster built an empire worth an estimated $1.3 billion in today's money through bootlegging, gambling, and other illegal activities. When alcohol became illegal across America, Capone saw an opportunity where others saw restrictions. He established a massive bootlegging network that smuggled liquor from Canada and operated countless speakeasies throughout Chicago. His organization controlled approximately 10,000 speakeasies and brought in an estimated $100 million annually, roughly $1.4 billion in modern currency. Capone's wealth allowed him to live like royalty in a time when most Americans struggled through the Great Depression. His primary residence, a sprawling mansion on Palm Island in Miami Beach, featured 7 bedrooms, a large pool, and a private beach. The property served as both a luxury home and a fortress, with walls thick enough to stop bullets and secret passages for quick escapes if needed. Back in Chicago, Capone maintained several properties, including a suite at the Lexington Hotel that functioned as his headquarters. The suite contained multiple rooms for meetings, entertainment, and business operations. Bulletproof glass adorned the windows and armed guards patrolled the hallways constantly. His collection of vehicles reflected his extravagant taste and need for security. Capone owned a fleet of custom-built Cadillacs with armor plating, bulletproof glass, and hidden compartments for weapons. His personal car, a 1928 Cadillac V8 town sedan, was painted green and black to resemble police vehicles of the time. The gangster's wardrobe demonstrated his flair for luxury. He owned dozens of custom-tailored suits in various colors, silk ties imported from Italy, and diamond-studded accessories. Capone reportedly spent $500 on suits when the average American earned less than $1,000 per year. Entertainment came at no small expense for the mob boss. He hosted lavish parties featuring the era's top musicians, expensive food, and endless supplies of illegal alcohol. These gatherings served dual purposes, showcasing his wealth while building connections with politicians and police officials he bribed regularly. Despite his criminal activities, Capone cultivated a public image as a generous community figure. During the Depression, he opened soup kitchens that fed thousands of hungry Chicagoans daily. This charitable work, combined with his charismatic personality, earned him a strange form of public admiration, even as his gang violence terrorized the city. Capone partied through Prohibition like tomorrow would never come, but the next boss stayed hidden for decades, building a fortune so big, even the police lost track of it. 3rd, Mateo Messina Dinaro, 4 billion euros. The Sicilian countryside hid more than just olive groves and vineyards. For decades, it concealed one of the most dangerous men in Italy, Mateo Messina Dinaro. Known as Diabolic after an Italian comic book character, this mob boss ruled the Sicilian Mafia with an iron fist and a mountain of cash. Born in the small town of Castelvetrano, Dinaro grew up in the shadow of organized crime. His father was a powerful mafioso, and the son quickly followed in those footsteps. By his 20s, Dinaro had already earned a reputation as a ruthless killer. The Italian police linked him to dozens of murders, including the brutal killings of rival gangsters, judges, and innocent bystanders. In 1993, Dinaro played a key role in several bombings across Italy. These attacks targeted art galleries and churches in Rome, Florence, and Milan, killing 10 people and damaging historic buildings. These bombings were part of the Mafia's war against the Italian government. While on the run from authorities, Dinaro built an empire worth an estimated 4 billion euros. His wealth came from both traditional Mafia activities and legitimate businesses. He controlled construction companies, wind farms, supermarkets, and resorts across Sicily. The mob boss had his fingers in everything from drug trafficking to olive oil production. Dinaro's lifestyle matched his massive fortune. He owned a collection of Porsches and Ferraris, each worth hundreds of thousands of euros. His real estate holdings included beachfront villas in Sicily, luxury apartments in Rome, and a secret compound near his hometown. One of his homes featured gold bathroom fixtures, antique furniture, and priceless artwork. The mob boss had expensive taste in everything. His closet contained handmade suits from Milan's finest tailors, each costing thousands of euros. He wore Rolex watches and designer sunglasses. Receipts found after his capture showed he spent 700 euros on single dinners and collected rare wines worth more than most cars. For 30 years, Dinaro managed to stay one step ahead of the law. He communicated through old-fashioned handwritten notes called pizzini, rather than using phones that could be tapped. The mob boss underwent plastic surgery to change his appearance and used fake identities to move around. The long manhunt finally ended in January 2023 when police arrested the 60-year-old Dinaro at a cancer clinic in Palermo. Despite his billions, the mob boss couldn't escape illness or justice. Italian authorities continue to search for his hidden assets, believing much of his fortune remains buried in secret locations across Sicily. Dinaro vanished into thin air while billions stacked up, but the next man made his money loud, flooding Europe with drugs and throwing parties that looked like movie scenes. 2. Darko Sharich, $27 billion. Deep in the shadows of the criminal underworld, Serbian drug lord Darko Sharich built an empire that few could even dream of. With a jaw-dropping fortune of $27 billion, Sharich ranked among the wealthiest crime bosses on the planet. His money came from moving massive amounts of cocaine from South America into Europe, creating a drug pipeline that flowed with cash. Sharich didn't just have money, he flaunted it. His collection of homes spread across multiple countries looked more like luxury resorts than houses. In Montenegro, his seaside mansion featured private beaches and helicopter landing pads. His Belgrade penthouse offered panoramic views of the city from floor-to-ceiling windows. Each property came equipped with swimming pools, home theaters, and art collections worth millions. The Serbian kingpin's car collection would make any billionaire jealous. Rows of Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and custom Rolls-Royces filled his garages. One of his favorites, a bulletproof Bentley worth over $500,000, often transported him between meetings. For longer trips, Sharich preferred his private jet or 100-foot yacht docked in the Mediterranean. Fashion played a big part in Sharich's image. His closets overflowed with handmade Italian suits, each costing thousands of dollars. Diamond-encrusted watches adorned his wrists, with some pieces from his collection valued at over $1 million each. Parties at Sharich's homes became legendary events where the champagne never stopped flowing. The finest chefs prepared meals while famous musicians performed for guests. These gatherings served two purposes: showing off his extreme wealth and connecting with powerful friends who helped protect his business. Behind the glamorous lifestyle, Sharich ran his operation like a CEO. He employed hundreds of people across Europe and South America. His network included corrupt officials, boat captains, and street dealers who all played their part in moving drugs and money. The Serbians' reign at the top didn't last forever. Law enforcement agencies from several countries worked together to bring down his empire. In 2014, Sharich was arrested and much of his fortune was seized. The man who once had $27 billion found himself behind bars, trading his mansion for a prison cell and his designer suits for a prison uniform. Sharich lived like a superstar, with cash spilling out of every corner, but the final boss did not just want money. He took over cities, crushed businesses, and buried his enemies under mountains of cash. 1. Francesco Schiavone, $47 billion. Clan estimate. In the shadowy world of organized crime, few figures commanded as much power and wealth as Francesco Schiavone. Known by his nickname Sandokan, Schiavone ruled the notorious Casalesi clan with an iron fist from their base in the Campania region of southern Italy. The Casalesi clan built an empire worth an estimated $47 billion through a web of businesses that seemed normal on the surface. They controlled huge chunks of the construction industry throughout Italy, winning contracts for highways, apartment buildings, and shopping centers. When a new building went up in their territory, the clan got paid. Waste management became another goldmine for Schiavone's organization. The clan made billions by illegally dumping toxic waste in fields and waterways across southern Italy. Companies paid the mob to get rid of dangerous materials cheaply, while the clan pocketed the cash without spending money on proper disposal. No business in their territory escaped the clan's reach. Shop owners, restaurant managers, and local companies all paid protection money to avoid trouble.
Damn,
This
I hate
steady
that.
stream of cash from thousands of businesses added millions to their fortune every month. Schiavone lived like a king, with homes that looked like palaces. His main compound featured marble floors,
This is
gold
crazy.
fixtures, and priceless artwork stolen from museums. The property included swimming pools, tennis courts, and even a private zoo with exotic animals from around the world. His car collection would make any billionaire jealous. Dozens of custom Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and vintage classics worth millions sat in climate-controlled garages. Each vehicle was bulletproofed and modified with hidden compartments for weapons or cash. The clan invested heavily in legitimate businesses too. They owned luxury hotels along the Italian coast, high-end restaurants in major cities, and exclusive nightclubs where celebrities partied. These businesses helped them clean their dirty money while expanding their influence. Schiavone's personal style matched his massive wealth. He wore custom-made suits that cost thousands, Swiss watches covered in diamonds, and shoes crafted by Italy's finest leather workers. His parties became legendary, with famous singers flown in for private performances and endless supplies of the world's most expensive champagne. Despite all this wealth, Schiavone's empire eventually crumbled. After years on Italy's most wanted list, he was finally captured in 1998. The man who once controlled billions now spends his days in a small prison cell, a dramatic fall for one of history's richest crime bosses.
Wow, dog. Good gracious. Hey, that was incredible right there, man. Can you imagine? There's got to be a such thing as, I got all I need, I don't need no more. That's it. I mean, all these houses and cars. You can only drive one car. By the time you keep getting in that one car, you ain't even used to the car yet, and you got another one. Oh my God, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I thought that was incredible right there. God dang, boy, I guess I see why so many people get into drugs. Oops. Who said that? Who said that? Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.